Pleasant good morning to everyone. I welcome you back to our online class. How are you, students? Hope you are doing fine, staying safe at home, and I think that you have completed your examinations well and you are submitting the answer scripts in school. Very soon you will get the mark for it, right? Right. Now, let us continue that lesson which we have stopped before that examination, right? In celebration of being alive. Now take your textbook, we will wind it up by today and we'll go to the exercise part and start the right next lesson. Now in page number 68, I'll read from that fourth this thing that we have completed, and once I will read from there to that seventh paragraph. My father, had he still been alive, would have said, "My son, it's God's will. That's why God tests you. Suffering ennobles you, makes you a better person." But as a doctor, I see nothing noble in a patient thrashing around in a sweat soaked bed, mind clouded in agony. Nor can I see any nobility in the crying of a lonely child in a ward at night. In those days, they did not have sophisticated heart surgery. I have always found the suffering of children particularly heartbreaking, especially because of their total trust in doctors and nurses. They believe you are going to help them. If you can't, they accept their fate. They go through mutilating surgery and afterwards they did not complain. So, I think this much we have completed in the previous class. One morning, several years ago, I witnessed what I call the Grand Prix of Cape Town's Red Cross Children's Hospital. It opened my eyes to the fact that I was missing something in all my thinking about suffering, something basic that was full of solace for me. One day, I witnessed something, a sin in that hospital, and the other calls it as Grand Prix. Actually, Grand Prix is one of several international motor racing events. And he explains it, that incident which happened in the hospital, as Grand Prix. And that has given solace for him, comfort for him, totally changed the attitude towards his way of thinking about suffering. What happened there that morning was that a nurse had left a breakfast trolley unattended. And very soon, this trolley was commanded by an intrepid crew of two, a driver and a mechanic. One day, there was a unattended breakfast trolley in front of that, in the corridor of that hospital. And it was unattended, and all of a sudden, it was commanded by two people, a crew of a group of two people, one a driver and the other a mechanic. The mechanic provided motor power by galloping along behind the trolley with his head down, while the driver seated on the moored deck held on with one hand and steered by scraping his foot on the floor. The choice of roles was easy because the mechanic was totally blind and the driver had only one arm. As I told you when I was telling the gist of it, the mechanic was totally blind and the driver, he has only one arm. They put on quite a show that day. It was a very interesting scenery on that day. Judging by the laughter and shouts of encouragement from the rest of the patients, It was a much better entertainment than anything anyone puts on at the Indianapolis 500 car race. There was a grand final of scattered plates and silverware before the nurse and ward sister caught up with them, scolded them, and put them back to bed. So, when these two children they tried to move the vehicle, that trolley, and the plates and silver cups, everything was scattered. And all the people, all the patients, and the people who are there in the hospital, they all enjoyed the fun. They gave shouts of encouragement for these two children. And there was a grand final, that exciting end or the climax of it. And at the climax, the plates were scattered. And the nurse and the ward sister, they came, scolded the children, and put them back to that. See, the attitude of the children who are there in the bed, how they, one is blind, one has no arms, how they took the challenge, how they took the challenge. They are not, they are making others feel happy. Everyone was encouraging them. Right. Let me tell you about these two children. The mechanic was all of 7 years old. So the age of that mechanic is 7 years. One night, when his mother and father were drunk, his mother threw a lantern at his father, missed, and the lantern broke over the child's head and shoulders. So as they were fighting, she threw a lantern, and because of that, he got injury in his body. He suffered severe third-degree burns on the upper part of his body and lost both his eyes. At the time of the Grand Prix, he was a walking horror with a disfigured face and long flap of skin hanging from the side of his neck to his body. At the Grand Prix, that is at the hospital, he was just like a walking horror. He looks like a horror with a disfigured face because the face is burnt, and a long flap of skin is hanging from his neck to his body. As the wound healed around his neck, his lower jaw became gripped in a mass of fibrous tissue. The only way this little boy could open his mouth was to raise his head when to raise his head. So because of that wound, burn, this part has jammed with this body, and he finds it very difficult even to look straight, to raise his head. When I stopped by to see him after the race, he said, we won. And he was laughing. So after the race, when I went near to him, he said, with a smiling face, we won. We only succeeded. We have not failed in our attempt. We succeeded. Even though the plates are scattered, even though the nurse scolded him, he said, we succeeded. See that way in which he took the matter. It is his way of seeing things, the optimistic view that he has in his life. The trolley's driver I knew better. A few years earlier, I had successfully closed a hole in his heart. So the driver, his mechanic's problem is he has become blind. But he said, we won. Trolley driver's condition is I had successfully closed a hole in his heart. He has a heart patient. He has some problem with his heart. I closed his hole in his heart. He had returned to the hospital because he had a malignant tumor of the bone. Now the problem with him is he has a tumor in his bone. Malignant tumor. A very harmful tumor in his body. That is extra diseased growth in his body. A few days before the race, His shoulder and arm were amputated. Just before few days, he was admitted in the hospital and his shoulder and arm were taken, removed by a surgical operation. There was a little hope of his recovery. A little hope is there for him to get cured. After the Grand Prix, he proudly informed me that the trolley's wheels were not properly oiled, but he was a good driver and he had full confidence in the mechanic. Now, after the Grand Prix, after this um, attending the trolley and scattering all the things, he very proudly said, I was doing my work sincerely well at my maximum. But the problem is the um, trolley's wheels were not oiled properly. That is why there is some problem in driving. Otherwise, I have full confidence in that mechanic and we were doing well. So now you could understand the state of mind of these two children. Even though they don't have arms, even though they are blind, even though their trolley is scattered into pieces, they have confidence. They were very happy. They said that we have done well. Suddenly, I realized that these two children had given me a profound lesson in getting on with the business of living. Now, by seeing these two children, I have learned a lesson in my life. They taught me a profound lesson, a great lesson. What is that lesson that I have learned from these children? Getting on with the business of living. Because the business of living is joy in the real sense of the word. So now the author understood that the business of living is living a life with joy in whatever we living a satisfied life, contented life with what we have. That is the real happiness. Not just something for pleasure, amusement, and recreation. The business of living is the celebration of being alive. So I learned a lesson. The author learned a lesson that the business of living is celebration of being alive. I had been looking at suffering from the wrong end. So now I understood that so far I have been looking at suffering from the wrong end, from the not in the correct sense of the term. You don't become a better person because you are suffering, but you become a better person because you have experienced suffering. You will never become a better person because you are suffering. Because of your suffering, you will never become a better person. But you become a better person because you have experienced suffering. We cannot appreciate light if we haven't known darkness. This I told you. If you are not experiencing darkness, you don't know the value of light. Nor can we appreciate warmth if we have never suffered cold. If you have not experienced chillness, you will never appreciate warmth. These children showed me that it is not what we have lost is important. What is important is what you have left. These two children taught me a lesson that what we have lost is not important. That failures will come to us. That is not a matter at all. What is important is what you have left. What is there with you is important. Right? So, very good lesson for you, which will which will just help you to have optimistic view towards your life, wherever you are, whenever you are, and whatever you are. Have optimistic view and just see the two children's attitude, how they have, right? Yeah, amidst that troubles, tribulations, and hardships, they were very happily saying, we won. See that words, we won. See, the engine is that Engine is not oiled properly, otherwise the mechanic is very good. He has performed well. But the problem is with the that trolley, because its wheels were not oiled properly. Right? How they have taken the attitude that you have to appreciate on these two children. Now let us come back to the exercise part of it. Write, study that glossaries, synonyms, and question answers also. Now come to that vocabulary area. Very quickly we will wind it up. Right. Go through the lesson and spot the words which mean the same as the following. First paragraph, profession. So take the pencil in your hand and write. I'll just wait for 1 second for you to take the pencil. Profession, career, Career. Sorrowful, gloomy. Decency, in paragraph 5, nobility. Nobility. Destiny, in para 6, which means fate. Fate, Fate. Hijacked, in paragraph 8, commanded. Commanded. In paragraph 9, motivation, encouragement. In para 10, serious, severe. In paragraph 13, significant, important. So, profession meaning career, sorrowful, gloomy, decency, nobility, destiny, fate, hijacked, commanded, motivation, encouragement, serious, severe, significant, important. Now go through the lesson and spot the words opposite to the meaning of the following. Rare, prevalent. 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 Primitive, sophisticated. 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 In para 7, fiction, fact. Fact. Fourth one, fearful, in para 8, intrepid. Intrepid. Benign, malignant. Malignant. In para 11, diffidence, opposite is confidence. Confidence. Boredom, in para 12, opposite is recreation. Recreation. In para 13, criticize, appreciate. Appreciate. Now, frame illustrative sentences to distinguish the meaning of the words in the following cluster. Career, career, career. Patient, patience, patent. Accident, incident, incidents. Scraping, scraping, scrubbing. Accept, expect. Lesson, lesson, lesson. Severe, server, sewer. Rise, rise, rise. Quiet, quiet, quit. Final, final, fell, feline. So find out the synonym meaning of this and make sentences of your own, right? And we will do it in that class. If you have any doubt, just write simple sentences. Try to write simple sentences, because in that homophones, it is something related to that homophones. You will get very simple sentences with the simple words, right? Find out the meaning of it, and if you have any doubt, you ask me, I will help you. And that fourth one, scraping, that as you walk, some children will have the habit of scraping the legs, dragging it and making some unpleasant sound. That is scraping, right? Seventh one, SEVER is to separate. Sewer, garbage keeper. Then tenth one, feline, it is cat-like or belonging to the cat family. Now, fill in the blanks with the words given in bracket. Profound, amusement, confidence, agony, solace, interpret, disfigured, perforated. Let's write it down. Theatrical plays were in a main source of amusement before the advent of television. Amusement. Second one, the Dash warriors of the Spartan army marched into battle against a powerful enemy. Interpret. Third one, the dash of the parents finally came to an end when their child was found with the help of the police. The agony, pain. Fourth one, social media has brought about a dash impact on the lives of millennials. Profound. The tires of the car got dashed when the vehicle rolled over the rusted nails scattered on the road. Perforated. Thomas Alva Edison did not lose his dash even after facing a series of experimental failures in his quest to discover tungsten. Confidence. Confidence. Seventh one. Many victims of the pipeline explosion in an oil refinery were left permanently disfigured. The old lady found dash in the company of the children in the neighborhood. Solace. SOLACE. Comfort. Next one. Form a phrase with each of the following pairs of nouns given below. Here is an example from the lesson. Fiber plus tissue. Fibrous tissue. That is blending. Right? Two words blended together and we get another or new word. Right? So here is an example from the lesson, and sometimes 10 words are given below. We have to write it, right? Muscle plus pain, muscular pain. Muscular pain. Skeleton plus system, skeletal system. SKELETAL, skeletal system. Nerve plus disorder, nervous disorder. Digestion plus enzymes, digestive enzymes. Surgery plus instruments, surgical instruments. Agony plus experience, agonizing experience. Agonizing experience. Glory plus victory, glorious victory. Fancy plus idea, fanciful idea. Emotion plus song, emotional song. Sense plus issue, sensitive issue. Now come to the next page, 73. So you have blending for the next test, right? Blending is there included in the exercise part. Next, fill in the empty boxes with suitable words under each word class. Noun, verb, adjective, adverb. Noun, you know that name of a person, place or thing. Verb is the action denoting word. Adjective that qualifies a noun. Adverb that qualifies the verb. Amusement, verb is amuse. Adjective is amusing. Adverb is amusingly. Second one. Verb is appreciate. Noun is appreciation. Appreciation. Adjective, appreciative. Adverb, appreciably. Next one, noun, success. Succeed is verb. Successful is adjective. Successfully is adverb. Then proudly is adverb. What about noun? Pride, Pride. Be proud is verb. Be proud. Adjective is also proud. Now, the last one, adjective is hopeful. Noun is hope. Verb is also hope. Adverb is hopefully. Right, children? The remaining we will see in the next class and we will proceed to the next lesson. Okay, children? Right. Thank you very much. We'll see you. We'll meet again in the next class. Till then,